What are some advantages of levering versus paying cash? So the first property that I purchased, I did so in cash. I bought a duplex for $35,000. It was rented out for about $1,000 per month. Now I'm about to tell you a whole bunch of stuff, and one of the things that I can't separate is the fact that I also had a bad management company on that duplex. So that management company nickel and dimed me excessively, which skewed the returns. However, I will say that I bought that duplex in August. I bought it rented. It was rent ready. Everything was very well taken care of. Between the management fees and all of the issues, when I got to the end of that year and I filed my taxes, I made $1,040 on that property in 2017. So 5 months, I made a total of $1,040, which is what? Maybe best case scenario, $200 per month out of the $1,000 per month that was coming in. So if I had paid in cash 35,000, if I were actually collecting, 100% of the income, $1,000 per month, then $12,000 a year return on $35,000 is pretty good. You're at 30%. But the second property that I purchased it for $28,000. I used leverage. So we bought it for 28,000. I used leverage. I put 25% down. The down payment was $7,000. I spent $7,000, got into a property. The mortgage payment on a monthly basis was $112. I had a good management company. We self-manage now. We manage all of our own stuff. But at that time, that management company only charged their fees, and they didn't nickel and dime me. And that property was recently remodeled at 28,000, so there wasn't any deferred maintenance. We have put so little money in that property still since we've owned it. We had to turn it. We've turned it one time, and that turn cost $1,200. Very, very awesome. So at this point, I've got one property. I paid for it in cash. I'm making $200 per month. $35,000 to get a $200 per month return is not ideal. On the second property that I purchased with leverage, my mortgage payment was $112.56 per month. It was rented out for $770 per month. The management fee was 10%. So you got $77 plus $112.56. What I'm getting to is I made more money per month off less of a down payment with leverage than when the property that I purchased in cash. In addition, the way that we are purchasing properties now is we don't put any of our own money into the property. So the private lenders that we use first, which is purchase price plus rehab. So we borrow all of those monies, but we make sure that the purchase price plus the rehab is 75% of the after repair value or less. Now, most banks do loans at 75%. So that $28,000 property, I put 25% down. They did the loan for 75%, which is $21,000. Now I'm doing this a little bit backwards than that of putting the 25% down. Now I'm getting short-term debt on the front end for the purchase price plus the rehab cost. We are making that property now, full retail price, and it's going to be, so our borrowed money is less than 75%. So now when we go to refinance the property, the bank still does 75%, but now that 75% that the bank loans us is sufficient to pay off that first lender, the private lender that we used the first time. So now we have $0 into the deal. It's rented out, and we're making a return on that. So, there's this idea called infinite returns, which, because we have none of our own money into the deal, yet we're making a return on that money, that is technically infinite returns, because you can't calculate the return because you don't have any basis, because you didn't put your own money into it. So leverage allows you to tap into this infinite return model. And, kind of like how my brother and I are buying 200 homes this year, at least that's our goal. We can do that because we're not being slowed down by having our own money into the deals. So when you use your own capital, you can only grow at the rate that you can buy properties in cash, which is probably pretty slow for most people unless you have a significant stockpile of cash or really high income. But even if you had the highest income, you wouldn't be able to buy properties at the rate that we are because you're limited to your income, whereas we're limited to the number of deals we can find, not capital. So it's a completely different ballgame. And I think it's really apples and oranges. However, what I will say is for some people, debt carries a significant amount of negative connotations in their head. And if you're one of these people who debt, stirs up fear, scarcity, worry, any of those things, then I wouldn't suggest that you buy properties using leverage because you're never going to get another good night's sleep. And there's just simply no amount of money that should prevent you from being able to sleep well, right? So it really comes down to personal preference. If you're not comfortable with debt, then the strategy isn't for you, but there's no reason for you to condemn this strategy, right? Similarly, I'm not going to condemn anyone that only wants to buy properties in cash. I've got a good friend, and I think she's got a little over 20 properties now. And her husband have bought them exclusively in cash as they can afford to get a new one. And, almost each time we speak, she wants me to re-explain how I get these properties without using any of my own cash. And each time I explain it, it makes her uncomfortable. And I'm happy that she's not doing this because she does not need to be uncomfortable. Two different ways, both completely viable, both really dependent on your end goal, right? There's a school of thought out there that says that you should strive to make the most amount of money with the fewest number of assets. And they will cite things like diminishing returns and saying that, the amount of headaches that come with having, let's say, 200 properties compared to those of 50. So if you can make the same amount of money to your pocket with 50 properties as you can with 200 with significantly less headache, then you should choose that 50 property route over that 200 property route, which, I find no fault in that. I guess the only point that I'm making is similar to single family versus multifamily. So much of this comes down to personal preference. If you are more comfortable with one over the other, then do the one that you're most comfortable with. The good news is there's tons of different ways for all of us to make money, so long as you're operating ethically and with the best interest of all party involved in mind. Then there's no real right or wrong answer. Thanks for watching that clip. I thought that was a good question. And I think you can ask good questions too. Join us every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live stream Q&A where we answer plenty of questions just like this one. In the meantime, consider subscribing to the channel if you want more of this content. And if you want to increase your deal flow, analyze properties better, and help me feed my family, click the link below for a free 7-day trial of PropStream.